I was having tea alone, until two orc twin girls ran up, asking me to pretend to be their dad. It was a Saturday. One of those Saturdays where you wake up with no real plans, and somehow that feels like the best thing in the world. I am not someone who fills his weekends up. I am not the type to make lists of things to do and places to be and people to see. I like quiet. I like a good cup of tea. I like sitting somewhere outside where the air is moving a little, but the sun is not too bright, and nobody needs anything from me. So that morning, I packed up a book I had been meaning to read for about 3 months, made myself a flask of tea, pulled on a jacket, and walked down to the small park near my house. There is a little cafe there with outdoor tables, the metal kind that wobble no matter how many times you try to adjust them. I found one near a tree at the edge of the seating area, sat down, poured my tea into my travel mug, and opened the book. I did not read a single word. That is just how it goes. I bring the book because it feels like a plan. I put it on the table. I look at it. I think about how I am definitely going to read it today, and then I spend an hour watching everything else instead. That morning, I watched a pigeon try to steal an entire croissant from the table next to mine. I watched a dog pull his owner toward the bins, with the kind of focused determination that you usually only see in very serious professionals. I watched a group of children on the far side of the park doing something that involved a lot of running and screaming, and someone always being it. The park was full but easy, noise without urgency, the good kind of busy, where it is all happening around you, and none of it requires you to do anything at all. I checked the temperature of the tea. Still warm. Good. I put my hands around the mug and let the morning just be what it was. That was when the table nearly flew out from under me. 2 small bodies came running at full speed from my left and hit the side of my table so hard that the mug skidded toward the edge and a wave of tea nearly went over the rim. I grabbed it just in time. I sat there for a moment, heart slightly faster than before, and looked up. Standing in front of me were 2 girls, twins, by the look of it. Same round face, same dark eyes, same gap in their 2 front teeth. Same expression that sat somewhere between mild guilt and complete confidence. They were 7, maybe 8 years old. They were also dressed as orcs. Both of them had full green face paint, done carefully, right up to the hairline. They had tusks, white, slightly lumpy, made from what looked like modeling clay pressed along their lower lips. They were wearing small fabric vests that someone had decorated to look like armor, with little painted-on metal plates and everything. One of them was holding a plastic battle axe that was almost as tall as she was. The other was holding a plastic battle axe and a small sparkly purple purse that hung neatly from one shoulder. I looked at the axe. I looked at the purse. I looked back up at the 2 of them. They looked at me with the calm patience of people who are waiting for the other person to catch up. The one with the purse spoke first. She did not apologize for nearly sending my tea flying. She did not ask if I was all right. She pointed one very small, very green finger at me and said, in the most businesslike voice I have ever heard from a child, "We need you to be our dad for 3 minutes." I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. She continued without waiting. There was, she explained, a boy over by the fountain. This boy had said that orc girls do not have dads. He had said orcs were monsters, and monsters do not have proper families, and orc children just appear out of nowhere, with no parents at all. And she was not going to let that stand, because she was an orc, and she absolutely had a dad, and she needed to go over there right now and prove it. "Where is your actual dad?" I asked. The one with only the axe pointed somewhere vaguely behind her, in the direction of the whole rest of the park. "Getting coffee." "Can you wait for him to come back?" "We cannot wait," said the one with the purse, with great firmness. "The boy is right there," she said. "Right there the way you say it when you want someone to understand that the window of opportunity is closing." I looked over. There was indeed a boy near the fountain, maybe 8 or 9 years old, sitting on the edge of the stone rim, eating a rice cake. He did not look like someone who was thinking about orcs anymore. He looked like someone who was thinking mostly about the rice cake. The one with the purse looked at me with the steady eyes of someone who has already decided how this is going to go. "You're not doing anything," she said. We checked. She was right. I was not doing anything. I was sitting alone at a wobbly table in a park, with a book I was not reading, and a mug of tea I was checking more than drinking. I had been not doing anything for most of the morning, and if I was honest with myself, for quite a few Saturdays before this one too. The way she said it, just a plain fact, no judgment in it at all, landed somewhere I was not expecting. But before I could think about that for too long, the one with the axe had grabbed my sleeve and was already pulling. I said, "All right then." I stood up. I brought my tea. I honestly do not know why I brought my tea. I just picked it up and took it with me, and neither of them questioned it, which I appreciated. As we walked across the park, the one with the purse gave me my briefing. "My name," she said, "was Dragoruk the Unbroken. I was a great orc warlord. I had fought in many battles and won all of them. I was very tall." She paused here, glanced up at me. "I am average height, solidly average, and revised, tall enough. My job was to look proud and intimidating at the same time." She demonstrated what this looked like: chin up, eyes slightly narrowed, arms crossed, expression that communicated absolute authority. I tried to copy it. She watched me with her head tilted to one side for a long moment. "You look like you smell something bad," she said. "I'm still practicing." Her sister laughed. The one with the purse did not. She was in professional mode, and there was no time for this. By the time we reached the fountain, I had received 3 more instructions. Warlords do not smile, warlords do not slouch, and under absolutely no circumstances was I to speak first, because she would be doing all the talking, and I was just there to be seen. I told her I could do that. She did not look fully convinced, but she accepted it. The boy looked up when we arrived. He was small, yellow t-shirt, mid-bite into his rice cake. He looked at the twins. He looked at me. I stood as straight as I could, and held my mug of tea with what I hoped read as quiet warlord dignity. The one with the purse said absolutely nothing. She just stood there and pointed at me, slowly, with one green finger. The boy chewed. He looked at me again, a long look, the kind where you are recalculating something. Then he looked at the ground. Then he got up off the fountain edge and walked away in the direction of the swings, still chewing, without a word. That was the whole confrontation, start to finish, maybe 20 seconds. The twins looked at each other. I have seen people have full conversations in the time it takes twins to exchange a glance, and these two were no different. Something was decided and confirmed between them in about 3 seconds. Then they both turned back to me. The expression on their faces had changed. The business-like focus was gone. In its place was something quieter, not dramatic, not a big moment, just a small shift. The one with the purse gave me one single firm nod, the kind that means the matter is closed, and you have done your part, and that is all that needs to be said. Then they ran off toward the playground, just like that. No goodbye, no see you later. 1 second they were standing in front of me. The next they were gone. 2 small green figures disappearing into the park, the plastic axe catching the light as they ran. I stood by myself at the fountain. Dragoruk the Unbroken. Mug of tea in both hands. I walked back to my table and sat down. I poured a little more tea from my flask. I looked at my book. I did not open it. I could still hear them somewhere off to my left, laughing, the occasional argument, the sound of 2 children who are completely at home wherever they happen to be. I did not look over straight away. I just sat there with the warm mug and the wobbling table, and let the sound of it be part of the afternoon. After a while, I did look over. They were completely fine. Of course they were. They had a dad somewhere in this park, they had each other, they had face paint and battle axes, and an answer ready for every problem that came their way. They had needed me for 4 minutes and then they were done, and they had moved on without a backward glance, which is exactly what you do when you are 7, and the world is still that simple. I stayed at that table until the tea went cold, which took longer than usual. I have thought about that afternoon more times than it probably deserves. I think about the way she said it. You're not doing anything. Like it was the most obvious thing in the world. No weight to it, just a fact. And I think about how I stood up anyway, picked up my mug, walked across the park, stood next to 2 small orcs at a fountain, and did absolutely nothing except be there. Sometimes that is all it is. Someone asks. You happen to be there. You say all right then. Nothing dramatic happened that day. No one was rescued. No great lesson was learned. A boy walked away from an argument he had already forgotten he started. 2 small girls proved a point to themselves, and then immediately moved on to the next thing, and a man sat at a park table on an ordinary Saturday afternoon, feeling something he could not quite name, but that was not nothing. The book stayed closed the whole time. I did not mind at all.